Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood! And here's your host. Haha, I got it right that time.
Did.
Robert Winfree, yay!
For those listening to the audio-only format, Mark was able to point to the correct side of his screen the first time.
I know my left from my right.
Hello, everyone. This is Damn You Hollywood. I'm Robert Winfree. He's Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
There you go. Tonight we're discussing Black Widow because that's what came out. And
way to go revealing trade secrets, Robert.
yes, the deep algorithm that we process the movie release schedule through to figure out which of them we're going to talk about.
Yes, as we poured through so many of the analytics, decide
so many.
What's in the zeitgeist that we must be discussing today.
So your excitement, Robert, it just is so gripping.
So welcome to our timely review of Casablanca.
Would 100% rather review that movie.
I know you would.
What's there to say about that movie? It's perfect.
I don't know. I'd rather... I don't want to give away too many of my thoughts on this. I'd rather talk about something I find interesting. But anyway, joining Mark and myself, we have back for the first time in a few weeks at least, immediately beneath me, if you're looking on the... Why have stupid flies? Immediately below me on the screen here, we have Alexis Hejna from Honeysuckle Rose Creations. How you doing, Alexis?
Doing good. Just waiting for the dogs to start getting bored and start attacking me.
Mine is actually sleeping on the couch out of frame, so she's having a good time. And joining us from the Canadian office, we have David Wright. He's back for the first time in a while as well, but he's here, and we're all grateful to have him. David, how you doing?
Go, fellow hosers.
David,
I didn't know Canadians glowed the way they do. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the light on my face. I usually don't glow like this.
This is very exciting. It's the first time we have you on camera. This is like an inaugural thing here.
Yeah, I mean Andrew lived next to like Lake Ajax for a few years. He's the one that glows.
It's funny because of radiation.
Yes.
All right. Well, since we're discussing Black Widow, any thoughts anyone wants to share before we get into the plot synopsis? Any expectations, stuff along those lines? You want to get out there, or we want to just jump right into this?
Yeah, I had the ending of the movie spoiled for me by some jackass on Instagram.
Let me.
Black Widow survives.
No, this is what actually pissed me off was that I saw the post. From my company, I had posted a pair of our new Black Widow Scrabble tile earrings, and I did all the usual tags that you would on Instagram. And yeah, somebody tagged on there with all of the spoilers for the ending. Now, thankfully, I was able to block out majority of them and just not pay attention, except for what we see in the post-credits scene. So that was completely ruined for me. And whoever you are, I flagged you. I hope that you get suspended and your account gets sent to hell.
Let me throw this out there. Something I've been thinking about, especially after the second time I saw the movie. This movie suffers from a couple of different things that it had no real control over, and I think it's sort of affecting the general perception of the movie. Look, there are craft issues. We will get into them. Robert will enumerate them
in great detail. In
great detail, yes. But I do think there are some things said in its defense that are bringing it down maybe unfairly. Number one, let's start with the obvious thing. This is a year delayed. Like from its initial release, the second thing I'm going to talk about, as far as its timeliness, is a whole other issue. But it was slated for May of 2020, and then because of COVID, obviously, it got delayed. And with anticipation only growing just because of the length of time we had to wait for the thing. I mean, it was announced, it was promoted, the world ended, and it got delayed. And so you have a 2-year buildup to what amounts to a phase 2 Marvel movie at best.
That's fair.
and I think that works against the film. I think had it come out timely without as much of a wait and without as much anticipation, people would react more fairly to it. But I think that because of the COVID delay, and just the general feeling of like we're just now sort of returning to the normalcy of big theater productions, people expected more, and they got mid-tier Marvel, which brings me to my next point. I don't think people were quite ready for the transition from Endgame to this, and I know there was one in between. There was Spider-Man, but Spider-Man was like the epilogue of that whole thing, and I think even for its small story, it was still a big movie, if you catch my meaning. There were some big ideas. They were wrapping up a lot of loose threads from the Infinity Saga. Spider-Man was not mid-tier Marvel, and I'm not talking about necessarily quality. I am talking about presentation. It's a steep drop, I think, in presentation to go from Endgame and Spider-Man to this, and then to make you wait 2 years for it. I think, lines go up. People expect bigger and bigger and bigger. We did the Fast and the Furious 9 movie, and they were Tarzan swinging cars over chasms and launching themselves into space. That movie has a clear presentation arc upwards, in terms of, well, yes, it's stupid, but you get my drift, I'm sure, that these things just build and build and build to the point of lunacy, but at least that meets expectation. Whereas after after Endgame and everything, I think people wanted what isn't there going to be something bigger than Endgame? And there wasn't, not with this. We're starting all over again.
Not only is the answer no, the answer is no for the next 2.5 years.
Right.
I think it's also important to ask how many of us saw this in theaters and how many of us saw this on Disney Plus.
Life in theaters.
David?
Theater.
I actually saw it on Disney Plus. I normally don't do that, but my husband suggested it. We were both kind of cramped on time, and we really didn't feel like, going out to a movie. There was one of those, we both kind of wanted to stay in. Not to mention, we realized that once you actually factor in the cost of the tickets, plus popcorn and soda and everything, for the two of us, that's actually going to cost more than the $30 for Disney Plus. So we just stayed home and door-dashed Indian food.
If I had a different calculus to make, I might have bought it on Disney Plus, but for $5.30, which is what I pay to see the earliest showing on a Tuesday, that's usually going to be my way to go on these things.
Jeez, I paid $15. Oh wait, Canadian dollars. Never mind.
2 shillings and a halfpenny. Last point, so we can move this on. The last thing I want to say in sort of defense of this movie in terms of presentation and perspective, people's perceptions of it. And I don't know how much of a conversation this is going to generate, because I think it could generate like another hour-long discussion, but I'll see what you guys think. It came up again in my mind when I watched the pitch meeting for it, where they talked about there was discussions of a Black Widow movie in Phase 3 when it would have been appropriate. And I was Ike Perlmutter who said female-led superhero movies don't make money, and then Wonder Woman made $750, and everyone was falling down all over themselves, scrambling to like, well, what kind of women do we got? And try, but at that point, phase 3 pre-production and releases were well underway. There was no way they were going to be able to jam Black Widow into that production schedule when the focus was Black Panther, Captain Marvel in the 2 Infinity movies. So it was like, well, we'll just have to wait. And it's kind of like our podcast schedule. Well, everyone's done talking about this now. Okay, but I just got to it. Okay, then, And so, Black Widow unduly served by its release well after anyone would have given a shit. Because the high
there was
time
also Scarlett Johansson in her initial contract, it was only ensemble films. Like she couldn't do a solo film with the character until she had done enough movies or something. So Endgame was the point where that no longer applied to her. So then they could finally go and do a solo movie. And I think that might have been Perlmutter as well behind that.
Right. So just to tie up at that point, I'll give Robert and Alexis an opportunity to respond to all of this preamble if you guys want before we move on. I think giving her the benefit of the doubt and saying, "Hey, well, we still have a lot of cachet and a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? People are still interested in what we're doing here." Just shortly after Endgame and Spider-Man, I think that might have worked initially for the Black Widow. I think 2 years later, not so much. Robert?
I think there's probably a degree of truth to that. I mean, I don't like prequels as a general rule, especially ones like this.
Technically, this would kind of be a midquel.
Yeah,
if you think about it. That is an official term.
Oh God.
I just mean to say that you have to do them very carefully, otherwise there's no tension. Because we all know X number of things that are still true. We know Black Widow isn't going to die here, despite falling from a height significantly greater than her fatal fall on Vormir and surviving multiple times.
Don't make me have to call Evan Bevins in here.
I was going to say, okay, you got that out once. Congratulations. Can we not bring that up again?
Nope. Apart from the stupidity of one of her survival sequences, yes, I'm done with that. That's the only joke I'm going to make.
I'd just like to point out that she is close personal friends with the literal Norse god of thunder.
Yeah, and
her ex-boyfriend is like a green rage monster from gamma radiation instead of dying of cancer, who at this time is fighting in a gladiatorial arena on another planet.
Yeah, and that makes sense. A deliberately non-superpowered character surviving a fall from low Earth orbit, not so much.
See, I always figured the fall from Vormir had some kind of magical element to it that automatically made sure that you died, even if it was the freaking Hulk that got thrown from that cliff.
It might be, but
wouldn't that have been a funny sequence if Hulk had gone to Vormir instead? Like, can we get that in the What If cartoon where like the Hulk just keeps jumping off the ledge and surviving because he's the Hulk,
and he has to keep coming back up to the Red Skull, who goes, "Nope."
It's just like, did I do it this time? No, you did not.
You're not sacrificing anything, moron.
Keeps jumping down, it just keeps on throwing him back up. And just, every time he comes up, he's just like,
a trampoline at the bottom.
I regret nothing. God damn it!
All right. With that out of the way, let's get the plot of this thing, such as it is. So this is set immediately after the events of Civil War. We see the Black Widow as she evades General Ross. Not General, he's now Secretary Ross, excuse me. She winds up in a safe house in Norway that turns out not to be safe, but she has a little package there from... We actually open with a flashback to Ohio in the 90s, which did not look nearly drab enough to be Ohio in the 90s.
Jesse just felt a presence there.
Yeah, but he also knows I'm telling the truth.
Looking around going, Cleveland Browns? What?
Well, the Indians were good in the 90s. Not a joke. The Cleveland Indians were a good baseball team in the 90s. Anyway,
this is a movie pod
with it. Yes, get on with it.
All right, thank you for that.
You feel better about yourself now, Mark?
Yes, yes. You got to use his soundboard. This is like the best thing in the world for him. Anyway, we actually open with a flashback to Ohio, where a very young Natasha and the introduction of the character Yelena Belova are part of a sleeper cell that also includes Melina Shostakovich. I forget. Shostakov. Thank you. No, Melina, not
Melina.
Alexei.
No, Melina's Vostokov. Alexei is Shostakov.
Yeah,
it's Russian. You got to know the difference between your va and your sha.
Yeah, well, especially the supreme irony of that being that Russian surnames are gendered. So
and Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh are Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Not really, but
Mark, I don't have enough cocaine to get through this.
We can work on that. I can DoorDash you some.
No, that's an ongoing gag about the character of the Black Widow. Her name in Russian wouldn't actually be Natasha Romanoff; it would be Natalia Romanova, but nobody gets the joke.
Honestly, in my head I went Moose and Squirrel, and then when I did the joke, Rocky and Bullwinkle came out. But you're right. I should have said Natasha and Boris. You want me to do it again?
No.
No one does. If
I have a convention this weekend that I have to continue making jewelry for, Mark. I do not have time to just sit here letting you go through every button on your soundboard. Can you see this?
To be fair, the dead horse would have been more appropriate there. Anyway, so they're a sleeper agent, a sleeper cell that's been positioned in the depths of Ohio because of their proximity to some kind of secret SHIELD facility that is infiltrated. They steal information from. They escape SHIELD authorities, but are then broken up because it's all just a mission. Natasha and Yelena go into the Red Room program.
I actually like the idea that Yelena was young enough. She really didn't know what was going on. She later talks about how, to her, it was a real family. She didn't understand that they were a sleeper cell agent. She didn't get what was going on.
Yeah, but that was a nice little addendum there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Alexei tries to go back into the field because he wants to be the Red Guardian. And unfortunately, he's just David Harbour. We flash forward to, again, the end of Civil War, when Natasha goes into hiding, and Yelena is not accidentally, she is exposed to the MacGuffin for this particular movie, a red powdery substance that undoes the biochemical mind control that is now being used at the Red Room to control the Black Widows. She sends some to Natasha, who winds up traveling back to run into her. There's a scene with the Taskmaster.
There's a scene with the hashtag not my taskmaster.
Ugh.
That was trending when the reviews for this movie first came out, and we'll get to it later, but yes, I'm on board with that.
Just for the record, what they did to Taskmaster in this movie was slightly analogous to what the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie did to Deadpool, which at least that one made me laugh.
At least that one, we have the joy of Ryan Reynolds going back in the sequel and putting a bullet in its head.
If you found joy in that, God bless.
What? I thought it was funny. Somebody actually suggested that they do a new Deadpool cut of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where every DVD has that scene where the faux Deadpool comes out, he gets the bullet in the head, and then the credits run, movie over.
Well, but then we don't get him shooting Ryan Reynolds reading the Green Lantern script.
Well, no. It's that would
Canada.
still be in the Deadpool movie. I'm talking about in the DVD of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Okay, I'm with you now. Yes, yeah. Yes. I'm sure someone's made an edit.
Yeah, almost certainly. Anyway, so there's a few fights with Taskmaster along the way, because of course there are. She gets to Budapest, kind of reunites with Yelena. They fight because there's a specific number of action sequences that must take place.
We needed an action sequence 2 minutes later.
We need to establish how the new Avengers Black Widow is just as good at fighting as the original Black Widow.
I have a thing about that. Let me get to it later. They are attacked by a bunch of widows. We see one of the crux of this issue at the moment is that Natasha thinks she killed the director of the Red Room project and his daughter, and this is part of her tragic backstory.
It's a little nice touch that Dreykov's daughter was previously mentioned in the first Avengers movie by Loki as one of the things that she was trying to make amends for.
That's true.
It doesn't excuse what they do with Dreykov's daughter, but I always appreciate when a film is able to actually lay out and connect the dots without it feeling unnaturally forced.
Yeah, that was like the nicest little touch to this entire writing exercise that was this movie. They want to get to the Red Room and destroy it for vengeance and justice, and so the movie can happen, mostly. But nobody knows where it is, so Natasha theorizes that since Alexei and Dreykov were good friends, he might know, so they break him out of prison, presumably killing everyone in the prison in the process when there's a giant avalanche that nukes it. But he doesn't know, because of course he doesn't know. I have problems with the Red Guardian character, but I'll get to them.
You have problems with all the characters.
I do in this movie, actually. No. Actually, I don't have a problem with Rachel Weisz's character.
Oh, you don't have a problem with the woman who nearly gives a pig a heart attack because he can't breathe?
Nope.
Well, when you put it like that way, it makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's in the name of science and bacon.
Yeah, and really, either of those on their own is perfectly acceptable to me. You put them together, and
You ever have a science and bacon sandwich? Delicious.
it really is.
So if it's a science and bacon sandwich, which part's the science, the lettuce or the tomato?
The bread. The
Yeah.
bread. What? The
It's what
bread?
It's what holds everything together.
Jesus
So
Christ.
obvious.
Have you not been in a deli? It's always the bread.
Sorry, who turns down a good BLT?
No one. Well, vegans, but we don't talk about that.
Was there a BLT in the next scene of the movie, Robert? You should tell us.
Sadly, no. Anyway, Alexei confesses he doesn't know, but they kind of figure that Melina will. And so they go talk to her. She reveals that she's still working for the Red Room because, well, she's a gerbil on a spinning wheel in a cage. She notifies the Red Room that everyone's there. She eventually has a slight change of heart when Natasha reveals that advice she was given by her on their last day together as a family is one of the things that helped keep her sane as she went through everything she went through.
Yeah,
The
'cause
Red
that wasn't contrived at all.
Oh no. Contrived in a Marvel movie? What? So the Red Room agents show up, they capture everyone. There's a pointless switch of faces between Natasha and Melina. So they get up there, and Melina and the Red Guardian go to crash the Red Room's largely evaded capture because it is a space station in low Earth orbit that somehow is undetectable by radar or
Not
any
in
of the
the
number
Earth
of
orbit.
I was assuming helicarrier technology.
or any of the flying superheroes that just never happen to stumble across it, or any number of other things.
The sky is very big. It covers all of the planet.
It does, and the planet's a lot bigger than you think.
I mean, if they
Yes.
can't find Wakanda, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt they can't find a space station in low orbit.
Well, they couldn't find Wakanda because of hyper advanced technology. They weren't
Couldn't
using
find Wakanda because that's the way the movie written,
That's
as
true.
well as the comic.
That's very true. It really is, and it's sad that way. Anyway, they arrive. Turns out that Melina and Natasha used that face switching technology. They swapped places. Natasha confronts Ray Winstone, doing
Way Winstone.
Way Winstone, way.
Short of a beard, doing modern American incel.
He's Russian Harvey Weinstein.
Look,
He really is.
yes, the obvious similarities there. That man's accent just made my ears bleed.
He was doing something along the lines of like The Sopranos, like oh, Scarlett Johansson, I'm very fat and Italian. Like what is happening here?
I just remember watching going, ladies and gentlemen, the most useless Marvel villain. We have officially dethroned the bad guy, the foam Mandarin, and Malekith.
We really did here. This was just... The saddest part of that is when he starts punching her, and you have to pretend that a man of Ray Winstone's proportions can't throw hands. Because I've seen Ray Winstone throw some hands. That man, he can punch.
He's a good actor. He really,
Really
is.
There is nothing but talented actors in this movie, and the fact that we got this is just a crying shame. It's a travesty. Anyway, while they're doing that, the facility is crashed. The descent is started by Melina and Alexei. Alexei fights Taskmaster because
You forgot about the reveal about who Taskmaster actually is, so we can
yeah.
absolve Natasha of that horrible wrongdoing.
Yeah, it turns
Star
out
of the Hitman movie, Olga Kurylenko.
Kurylenko, you
Whatever.
xenophobic rube. Olga Kurylenko, who is also a fantastic actress and given nothing to do in this other than look angry.
Which she does very well. She looked very angry.
She did. The Taskmaster is in fact his daughter who survived the bombing, and he survived unscathed, which still doesn't make any sense. And he was able to kind of save her, reprogram her.
Put a chip in her head.
We can rebuild my daughter. We have the technology. I don't know. She is the $6 billion hitman, I guess. I don't understand.
It was a side effect of putting the chip in her brain that it gave her the Taskmaster abilities. So he figured, hey, what the heck? I'll use this as a as a super assassin.
Sure. So there's a fight scene. The thing starts falling. While this is all going on, Yelena takes the red mist and is able to detonate it onto a bunch of the Black Widows that are still there, thus freeing them from their mind control. Natasha
downloads the drive with all of the Black Widows around. For the record, did anyone else get this line? The whole, it's like the one thing that the world has plenty of, girls. I was like, that line makes no sense. Tell me I'm not the only one who just kind of raised an eyebrow at that line.
It really
I
doesn't.
It's like, what, about 50% of the population? Like,
no, it was okay. Give me a half a second on this. Really, just a minute. So the insinuation being kind of like a Chinese, if a boy is born, he is saved, or the girl is born, we tie it to a tree and it dies. That kind of a thing. It's a stupid line. It's stupid the way it's written, but the insinuation is we have this resource that's more or less useless because it's just girls, and the world doesn't need girls except for procreation. That's what he's insinuating, is that is this very misogynistic idea of that, this gender, this group of people isn't really worth a shit, outside of this, that, or the other thing. And that was all they were going for there. It's just badly written.
And even then, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, aren't there just as many like boys out there that they could use?
No, from a mathematical standpoint, it doesn't make sense. But again, they were trying to give him something misogynistic to say, basically saying girls are worthless. That's all he was after there. That's all they were trying to get the point across. Girls are worthless, said by the bad guy. Moving along.
I mean, he basically came across as about as misogynistic as LeFou came across as gay in the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Seriously, that line, all that line did was reinforce, it's Russian Harvey Weinstein.
Which they also may have been going for.
Just a little bit. Anyway, the facility starts crashing. Big action set piece. They all land on the ground. Somehow.
That's where most things that fall end up.
They're in the ocean. It's a minor miracle they were over the land, given how much of the planet is water. So they all land safely, somehow. God.
Parachutes.
The parachute, dude, you're an aviation nerd. You and I both know that parachute that saved Widow and Taskmaster opened at that elevation, going that fast at that point, did nothing.
Yeah, I didn't do the math, but parachute. There was a parachute. It opened before they hit the ground. Look, I want to give this film an award simply for the fact that they actually had to put headsets on in the helicopter so they could talk to each other.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. Believe it or not,
that automatically makes us the most realistic aviation depiction in film history.
Before the podcast spirals into yet another episode of Mr. Wizard, at one point the car is hit with a bomb on an arrowhead, flips over several times, and skates down a set of stairs. And both Black Widow and Florence Pugh get out of the car, go "Boah!" and keep on going. I mean, none of this is real. None of it.
Hey, Nick Fury survived the exact same attack in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, apparently everyone is invincible in these movies.
At least Nick Fury had a car that was designed to safeguard the president of the United States, rather than a car they stole off the street.
It takes space mythology to kill a person in the Marvel Universe. A drop in Vormir and the Infinity Gauntlet. Move on.
Even then, it's not permanent.
Ugh.
And we all know it's not permanent. Look, unless it's Uncle Ben, it doesn't count, right?
I'm going to play my sound effects again.
All right. So we're right at the end. Natasha detonates a bit of the red mist into Taskmaster's face, thus freeing her. She shares a somewhat tearful goodbye with the family. The family heads off to save the widows around the world. She dyes her hair blonde, puts on a vest, and goes to break people out of the raft with Captain America, facilitating the end credit sequence of Civil War when they save everyone from the raft.
Did I miss, by the way, how she evaded Secretary Ross and his men?
No, they don't explain it.
She looks off into the middle distance, and they cut away, and the next thing you see is her showing up wherever Mason was.
It's like, I'll find a way to escape. Why don't you just go on the aircraft with everyone else?
Yeah,
she was gonna fight them all. That was the insinuation.
I'll hold them off.
Right. I'll hold this lone woman will hold off several brigades of troops
who just fell several thousand feet.
See, what I thought we were going to get when I saw them coming after her, the first thing upon him, like, okay, we're going to have the credits start rolling. We're going to get a mid-credit scene of her being held in custody, and then the power goes off or something, and then we're going to get a Chris Evans or an Anthony Mackie cameo where they show up and say, it's like time to go to work or something. I honestly thought that's where they were going to go with this.
I almost wonder if she didn't blackmail Ross with something. But again, we'd have to actually have confirmation of this, and we don't. She just has to not be captured, so the events of the other movies make sense. Roll credits on that, and then our post-credit sequence is... Yelena Belova goes to the gravestone for Natasha and mourns her dead sister, not sister. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up and says, hey, you know who's responsible for this? That Hawkeye guy. Subscribe to Disney Plus to see what happens.
All right, Dave, kick it off. What do you want to talk about with this movie?
So like anyone that was expecting this to be like better than Endgame or more epic than Endgame, you're crazy. I thought it was a perfectly fine, mid-tier, geopolitical espionage Marvel film. Mm-hmm. And in that respect, I thought it did fine. Like the stakes, made sense. The Black Widow program has still been maintained over all this time, and it's grown to the point where Dreykov, whatever his name is, can hold the world in his hand if he activates all the agents. So reasonable stakes. It ties into Natasha's backstory. We set up more characters to take her place, because she's dead now. So I thought that was all good. Like the action sequences were serviceable. Like they're fine. Nothing wrong there. Like it was a perfectly decent Marvel movie, I thought. And yeah, like I figured out the Taskmaster reveal the moment I saw the daughter getting out of the car. It's like, okay, so she'll have survived. She'll be Taskmaster drama, because I've seen X2. Yeah, Dreykov. He's not a very interesting villain. I mean, he was serviceable, and like not every villain needs to be a deep, multi-layered character. Sometimes it's just nice for them to just be an unrepentantly evil bastard that you just enjoy seeing die. And he did that very well. I got the acting was decent. All the characters were fun to watch. I did find what's her name? The sister character,
Florence
Pugh.
Yelena.
Yeah, Yelena.
The actress is Florence Pugh, or when she holds a gun, she transformed into Florence Pugh Pugh.
Haha.
That's my terrible pun for the evening.
Wah 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 on the trombone.
Yeah, that warrants a sad trombone, not a rim shot, Mark.
I don't have a sad trombone.
Well, okay, there's a sad trombone in My Little Pony. Okay, I'll find you the clip.
Yeah, I will absolutely add to my. Have you heard my progressive conservatism re-uploads? I love having a soundboard.
Yeah.
We know you've been threatening us with it since we started. But yeah, so Yelena, I thought she was funny. Like she had that sort of stereotypical Russian attitude of every silver lining has a cloud. And sarcasm, but I thought they pushed it a little too far with the sarcastic commentary a bit, where it's like, okay, like, it's not cute anymore. It's obvious you're trying too hard to make us like this character.
Every line of dialogue she spoke, there might as well have been a giant flashing neon sign over her head from the writers going, please, 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 we promise you the new toy is just as good as the old one we just took away from you.
Yeah. That being said, I if they tone her back a little bit, it would be fun to see her as she steps into more of the cosmic stuff in the MCU. Like seeing her going up against Thanos or in that situation, you're like, yeah, definitely a good way to die. And yeah, like it's the usual Marvel physics and everything. Like it still drives me crazy. I can't figure out how those like special forces airplanes fly, like vertically. Like I just I'm always looking for like where's the bit where they like push up, like the downward thrust. I don't see it. Nothing's rotating. They just hover there magically. Even like, you know, the Quinjets, Tony Stark's private jet, they always show the repulsors on the bottom. It just, you know, it's a little thing that drove me crazy. Just like when Yelena jumps on the engine at the end and doesn't get sucked in immediately, which would have had the same end effect.
Yeah, but, the ability to escape explosions in these movies is just breathtaking.
Yeah, you just kind of have to, you know what? It's a Marvel movie. It's superhero physics.
Breathtaking in that it makes you yawn.
Alexis, you have a lot to say. You seem to not have loved this movie, so go ahead and talk about your thoughts.
Where this movie got it right was definitely the chemistry and interaction with the families. Like Robert said, there are no bad actors in this movie. I love the scene of the opening scene with them escaping. It was very well done. You feel the tension. I really enjoyed seeing them work together. I love the scene of them all sitting down and starting to interact with each other again after being away from so long. I thought they all did a really good job of that, and I did greatly enjoy Florence Pugh as Yelena. I am excited to see her make further appearances. I'm glad she's going to be in the new Hawkeye series, and I'm looking forward to seeing her appear in more Marvel films. Where this film falls is the bad guy. The Red Room has been previously established in the Marvel movies, but only really elaborated on in Age of Ultron, where we talk about her forced sterilization. By the way, I know that they wanted to talk about, again, the forced sterilization and the forced hysterectomy, but did they really have to set it up with the whole "is it your time of the month" joke?
That was like, oh man, like giving this to the comedy character to explain was just sort of really undercut the whole purpose of that scene.
And
like I assume,
and then explaining it via comedy.
Yeah,
I say this as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Any man who ever says, "Is it just that time of the month?" you deserve the broken nose you're going to get.
Well, I mean, Alexi is considered to be portrayed as pretty much an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, he's an oafish. He's written as an oafish character. More on that when it's my turn.
Yeah, but
I got problems with that too.
Yeah, but yeah, like what they're trying to go with is he makes the period joke, right? And then he's like, "Do you know that because you handed us over to that bastard, we had our insides scooped out and can never have children anymore? You know, thanks for that." But instead, it's like, oh, you know, like they go in and they cut you up and they just pull everything out, and it's like, whoa, it's just like. This doesn't. The tone is just way off.
You don't have to be so specific. Well, I was going to talk about fallopian tubes, but okay.
I know everyone's shitting on that, but I'm gonna let it pass and give the floor back to Alexis, because Florence Pugh's delivery, which I'm going to talk about it at length when it's my turn, is so good. I was cracking up during that, and I'm like, you know what? The dialogue is bad, but the delivery and performance is so good that I'll forgive it.
I'll give you that. Like I said, I think Florence Pugh did a great job with this. Again, where it falls is the threat, the bad guys. We've seen a trend in movies where they expect us to get invested with a character who has either been mentioned briefly or seen briefly in other ones, or it's been a while and we really just can't get invested in it. We know what the Red Room is, but we have not seen enough of them in the previous Marvel films, or they have not shown us enough in this film to really, make us fear them and make us want to see the widows get free. Dreykov is a complete waste of a villain. He's on screen maybe 10 minutes, if that. And, the thing, again, that's most threatening is he mentions about Natasha's real mother, and it's like, I don't know what her name was and I don't care. It's like, but she just found out that she had a mother in the first, less than 15 minutes ago, so why are we supposed to be that invested in Dreykov being this cruel to Natasha about this? And seriously, the Taskmaster change pissed me off royally. Taskmaster is a great villain. I love how he's just the presence who pops up. We don't know that much about him. We don't know who. I'm sorry, he. It's a he in the comics. It's a he in the video games.
Yeah,
I'm not against.
I believe.
I am not against them making Taskmaster a female, but not only do they criminally underuse, I think Taskmaster has maybe three, maybe 4 action scenes in the movie.
The initial fight on the dirt road and the countryside in Norway with Black Widow to start it off. There's the tank chase through Budapest. There's
the fight with Alexei.
The fight with Red Guardian, and then it's over. That's 3.
Yeah. When I found out Taskmaster was going to be in this film, I was so excited. I thought that they were going to have this person be, I'm trying to be gender neutral with this because, again, they made Taskmaster a female. I thought they were going to use them to pop up in further Marvel products or projects. I thought this was going to be a fun, reoccurring character that we would see working for the villains in future movies. And not only do they, undo the brainwashing, but they had to do this thing where what Dreykov did to his daughter is so much worse than what Natasha did to her, that Natasha is absolved of blowing up the building with this little girl. And when she frees what's the daughter's name? Antonia?
Antonia.
Yeah,
because the original Taskmaster's name is Anthony. He's Anthony Masters originally, if memory serves.
Yeah, but now when Antonia is freed from the brainwashing, she's like, I don't care that you blew me up. What my father did was so much worse, so you're still a good person. Way to absolve the dynamic dilemmas of Black Widow. Oh my God.
Yeah, they should have finished the movie with Natasha high-fiving Wanda.
They'll never know what you gave up, Scarlett. Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, they will. They know that you died to give them the Soul Stone.
Majority of the characters that they fight are the unnamed widows, most of whom are wearing helmets or masks or something, so we don't really see them. They're just unnamed assassins. We don't feel a connection with these characters. We don't feel the need to want to see them free. Because all we have to go off of is very limited dialogue from Scarlett Johansson in previous movies, the majority of which, again, was Age of Ultron, which happened years ago.
Well, we get a little bit of a sign of like the pain of being mind controlled in a Black Widow, like when Yelena has the hypnotism broken or the mind control broken at the start, and right after she's killed the other character, I forget who she was, and just her regret at, I didn't want to kill you, but I had no choice. And then we also had one of the widows that chases them when they get to Budapest, and she falls from the roof.
The only person in this movie who dies by falling from a great height.
Yes.
No, she doesn't die. She dies when she's forced to electrocute herself.
Yeah, exactly.
She survived the fall with just naught but a broken leg.
Yeah,
but again, we don't really know enough about these characters to care.
Yeah, but you see it when she's lying there, and Dreykov's got her, pointing the electrical whatever it is at her face, and she's just like, I don't want to do this, and then she kills. I agree, like they could have fleshed it out quite a bit more, but there are scenes there that do express that the widows don't like what they are doing, and they're being forced to against their will. So I think that's sort of them trying to establish, what happens when they do break the control and why they're so quick to.
Well, they all immediately become good people as soon as their mind control's broken.
Well, I don't know where their overall morality is, other than mind control is bad. But when you're in a sort of military group or even just like a team environment, it does form this almost familial bond depending on how intense the situation is. Like that's how the military works. Like you are loyal to your squad. It's it's not about the high mind, freedom, America, apple pie, all that stuff. It's it's the person next to you is your brother or your sister, and you've been through hell and back with them, and you would go to hell and back for them. So I mean, I'm reading a lot of subtext in from what I've learned in life, sort of thing. But
you're putting more thought into that than the writers did.
I agree. It would have been nice if they had kind of fleshed that stuff out a bit more. Like I think they had enough time, and I don't think it takes much to add that in. But if you look carefully, there are little crumbs and tidbits there that you can kind of use to fill in the information.
What else, Alexis?
I think the only other thing I really enjoyed in this movie, and it's a minor thing, but people have been clamoring ever since the first Avengers movie to know what happened in Budapest. Because you get the scene with Black Widow and Hawkeye going, just like Budapest all over again. You and I remember Budapest very differently. And I like that we get little hints of what actually happened there. We see the holes in the wall, and Yelena's like, what kind of bullet leaves those? And she goes, those are arrows. And then you get the scene of them in the air vent, and you see the tic-tac-toe scratches. And Natasha mentions how she and Clint had to hide out there for a few days. Again, that's good storytelling. We're getting just enough hints of what happened in Budapest to fill in what those two went through. And I like that. I like that it wasn't overtly told. It was a little vague, but you get little hints. And I thought that was really good. But I cannot get over, the action was, I don't want to say cartoonish, but it's stuff we've seen done a million times.
That's an appropriate comparison.
I mean, it was like it was in a comic book or something.
It wasn't even very comic bookish. Again, it felt like it was stuff we've seen before. Majority of the actions is like, even when they're, falling out of the falling, red room in the sky, and they're finding him like, Winter Soldier, been there, done that, literally got the t-shirt. And I don't know. Again, the story, when it focuses on our four main characters, is really good. And I really like it. I love the scenes with Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson. I love when they're talking to Alexi. I love when they're talking to Melina. I love when they're interacting as a family. I love when they have to, just kind of deal with the fact that, all of this has happened to them, and they're just trying to act like, we're, it's like back to the way it was. Like, no, you can't act the way it was anymore. Things have changed. But I think the best way I can put it is this. I asked a good friend of mine what he thought of the movie, and he said, great for a DC film.
Oh, dear.
And that's really what this felt like. It felt like a DC film. It did not feel like the Marvel that we have grown to know and love and watch over the last, it's been over 10 years.
A lot of the points that you and Dave made, I think, are good and valid. A lot of what I was thinking. So I'm not going to repeat a lot of that stuff. I do want to talk about pacing of this movie. This movie is so front-loaded with action. By the time it's to the point of being ridiculous. You go from the fight with the Taskmaster, the fight with Florence Pugh, to the chase by the Taskmaster, to saving David Harbour from the prison, to nothing for a long stretch. And what you're supposed to get out of that long stretch is that family dynamic of them at the table and all of that. And I think it's debatable how well that whole scene played off, quite frankly. I didn't love it. It's a huge part. It was a huge part of the marketing, them sitting at the table. Obviously, there were parts of it, I think, that worked. Florence Pugh's sort of acknowledgement of, hey, I was so young, it was all real to me. And it hurts that that the three of you don't, recognize or acknowledge all of that. All of the, Florence Pugh is by far and away the best written and she gives the best performance out of anyone in this movie. Doesn't always have the best stuff to do or the best stuff to say, but she's doing the best with the little that they gave her. And she's by far and away the best part of this movie, better than Scarlett Johansson, in my opinion. I'll come back to that in a second. But so you have this long stretch in the middle of the movie where nothing is really happening, but you're meant to lock in on the relationship stuff, which is fine. And I think it should all be there, but that's where you need to pepper in some other stuff happening. There needed to be another threat to break it up. Not 900 action scenes in the first 20 minutes of the movie. And then your entire third act is this utterly preposterous action set piece that which, by the way, in addition to the big long middle, the beginning of that is her talking to Dracoff in an interminably long, boring exchange of dialogue. It just went on forever. And which then leads to this ridiculous reveal. See, the thing about the reveal about the Taskmaster is I'm sympathetic to the argument of that's not my taskmaster. I don't really care about it though. I get it. I get people's arguments, and I don't want to take that away from them. I personally don't care. I do care that when you unmask, and it's the lighthouse keeper from the beginning of the Scooby-Doo cartoon. The reason that works, Alexis, as you well know, being an expert in cartoons and whatnot, is you met the lightkeeper as he was at the beginning of the Scooby-Doo cartoon. So later on, when he pulls off the ghost mask, and it's the lightkeeper who would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you dastardly children. If you don't have that at the beginning, when she does unmask, I'm looking at her, I'm like, I know it's Olga Kurylenko, or whatever her last name is. Karaoke, Kalishnikov. Can we go with Kalishnikov, Robert?
I am not correcting you. You know how to say it. I'm not giving into this bit.
Just call her the former Bond girl.
I'm gonna say
she is a former Bond girl.
She was also in Hitman, as we reviewed here on Triple Feature on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
Plug.
Thank you. So anyway, my point being, if you don't meet the character at the beginning, when they reveal who it is, and the last time you saw her back walking into a building, and she was a child. So yeah, people could have connected who it was just based on their ability to read stupid movie plots. But in terms of actual film craft, the whole thing doesn't work. And Scarlett Johansson has to go into overacting to sell you on the idea of, oh no, it's the child I thought I murdered. It was a stupidly done reveal with not a great choice to be that person in the Taskmaster costume. Also, the fact they made the Taskmaster working for Draco and not Ross, I think was a missed opportunity. But I'm not going to rewrite the movie.
I would like to point out
that would have been a really good turn, kind of the whole I've made a deal with the devil to bring in Black Widow kind of a thing.
But even if in her mission to bring down the Red Room is a good thing to move the plot forward, and a good little mini mission for her to go on. So that's one of the things I do like about this. The idea of this movie, the plot of this movie, is something I'm into. The small little chapter in this big story of the Marvel universe, where she goes on this side mission to correct a grave wrong. I'm good with all of that. I just think that in addition to that, Ross is pursuing her in the beginning. She immediately eludes Ross because Ross is a big dummy. And then we never see him again till the very end of the film when we need him again. I'm like, no. Ross's hand should have been the Taskmaster. And the Taskmaster should have been pursuing her on behalf of Ross through the entire movie, in addition to what was going on with the Red Room.
I would like to point out that Taskmaster does live at the end of the film. Mm-hmm. So the character could be brought back in another way, and not necessarily as an ally. So she could become a mercenary and get hired by Ross. We don't know where it's going. Maybe she'll decide, hey, now that I've gotten over my being unmind controlled by my jerk of a father, you know what? Yeah, I'm really pissed off that bitch blew me up.
I was gonna say, so you think we're gonna get sort of a new version of the Mandarin, what they're doing with Shang-Chi?
Well, with Shang-Chi, it's like there's was a whole other Mandarin. Whereas with Taskmaster, if I was the one writing things, which I'm definitely not, I could just say you can take that character forward in a new direction that could still give many opportunities to have Taskmaster-ish things happen. I assume I'm not very familiar with the character in the source material.
So the movie is... Sorry, go ahead, finish, Dave.
Yeah, but yeah, like Taskmaster becomes a mercenary. Well, that creates lots of interesting possibilities. Sure. She could show up, whenever, wherever you need. Maybe the bad guys hired her, and now we have to fight Taskmaster, or in this other situation, as an ally.
Just the way that the Taskmaster character was used, never mind the gender swapping and everything else. I think it was just misplaced. There needed to be a better representation of Ross through the entire thread of the movie, not just as bookends, because we need to connect this to other films. That's bad writing. I'm still kind of focused on the pacing of this thing. Front-loaded, back-ended, nothing in the middle. And then what you do have in the middle, as far as the relationship stuff goes, like I said, the only one that really works for me is Florence Pugh and what happens to her. Black Widow sort of mistreating and yelling at and, saying he's an oaf to David Harbour. I was like, okay, great. And then Rachel Weisz is a great actress. And I think she has a lot of really funny line deliveries, but they don't really give her much to do.
No, they almost forget she exists half the time.
So the only thing I have of her is a handful of really funny line readings, and that's it. And in terms of like her regrets as a mother and her, and her struggling with her being an agent versus being a mother to this child and all of that all got lost and passed over and rushed through so we could get to the next action set piece. So yeah, a big problem of this movie for me was the pacing. I talked a lot about Florence Pugh just to sort of wrap that up. I think they did a really good job of her and Scarlett Johansson. When it was just the two of them, I thought were great. They had the best on-screen chemistry. They had the best relationship. Their stuff after the big fight and chase sequence, and even during it, their interplay was some of the most entertaining stuff of the movie. And their little outdoor diner session where they're drinking beers and whatnot, and they decide they're going to go on this mission together. It was great. They lit up the screen, the two of them, and they did a good job together. But they don't. After all that happens, they don't really give Florence Pugh a tremendous amount to do. She has a handful of things here and there, but it almost feels like here's a little bit of this. This is the Black Widow movie, and we're featuring Scarlett Johansson, so. Here's this other great character, but we're going to kind of minimize what she does because we don't want to. We want to save her for Hawkeye, or, for the new Avengers or the Thunderbolts or whatever it is they're going to do with her. Last thing I want to talk about is how poorly written David Harbour's character is.
Oh God,
he's doing the best he can with a garbage character, but I two thoughts on this because. There's a big part of me that wants to complain about how ridiculous the Ray Winstone character is and how they went. I feel like they seemingly went out of the way to have the Robert knows what I'm talking about here. The boys, the girls get it done moment. They're just but this was the girls get it done movie, and it was like all the girls are at the very least sympathetic, at most perfect, the most perfectest ever, and the guys are the worst things ever. You have David Harbour, who's playing Joey from Friends. He's a big dummy, gets nothing right, and is in no way sympathetic. And then you have this over-the-top ridiculous villain who, just short of a beard and the word incel tattooed across his forehead, was the stand-in for an editorial about how horrible the modern man is.
I mean, the man runs a covert organization that kidnaps children, brainwashes them into mindless assassins.
Any number of ways they could have done that without it looking like an editorial.
Yeah, I was not expecting that he would have a bust of Gloria Steinem on his desk.
But here's the thing.
I was hoping for Estelle Getty, personally.
Here's why I'm backing off of that point, though. More so with Ray Winstone than I am with David Harbour, and that is. I get angry when you have a black character who's made to be a villain and people get upset because why does the villain have to be black? Why does the gay character have to be black? Not all gays are bad. Every time someone makes those kinds of leaps, I get what do you only want minorities to be in the most heroicest roles ever? And they can never play anything else. So we can never have any kind of range for any minority ever. I get angry when people
To quote a commentator I once listened to, is the problem with diversity casting is it's going to make murder mysteries really boring.
It's good, but that's
who could it be? The straight white man,
right? So when the argument half the time on any one of these podcasts that we do on the Radulich and Broadcast Network, it's the white man can't always be the villain. You have to, let's break this up a bit. Then when they do it, complain, why did the villain have to be the white guy?
Speaking of minorities, can we all at least agree that we need to see Rick Mason appear in more Marvel movies?
I'm sure he's going to.
I don't need to agree to that.
After doing a little bit of research on who the character is, I'm like, oh, he's an actual character from the comic book. I'm sure we'll see it again.
And again, I thought he was kind of wasted in this because he is a character and he's a prominent character. So I was sitting there going, you bastards had better be bringing him back. Not to mention, I thought the actor was pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up on David Harbour, and then I'll pass it on to Robert. I don't understand why you know, other than, well, we're doing a movie about Russians in Russia, so we need to have Red Guardian. I don't even understand why he was in the movie, other than like, well, we're going to create this fake family.
Fun thought exercise. Completely take him out of this movie, and what changes?
Yeah. No, I agree. That's my point. I agree with you. Other than kind of the stand-in for the dumb white male, and, you know, other than to have sort of a target for all this animosity, because God forbid they be angry at Rachel Weisz. It all had to be at David Harbour. But I could have forgiven all of that. I could have forgiven it if he goes on any kind of an arc, if he had made any kind of a change, or, and I would have accepted this too, they'd at least given him a cool fight scene. I would have forgiven all of the bad writing. If they had if he had put on the damn helmet and we had gotten 4, 5 to 10 minutes of him just being all kinds of Russian Captain America kicking ass.
I was saying, when we saw the trailers, we thought we were going to get that with Taskmaster. Right. And I agree with you again. # not my Taskmaster.
You know, so I would point out that there was a bit where like he did try and comfort Yelena after she had her big breakdown at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. So he did at least try and be a dad
in that moment. Sure.
Yeah.
And he solves the problem by singing American Pie.
I mean, you know,
yeah, it would have been better if they'd maybe gone through a bit more of the whole consoling her and arriving at a conclusion before people started shooting at them. That's the problem
with a lot of these Marvel movies, and this is why Pat and Robert go into hysterics whenever we talk about Ragnarok. They become a collection of really good moments that are not linked to anything solid or substantial. So
I don't even give you good moments in Ragnarok.
So even
we're not going down that rabbit hole again.
I'm just saying.
Even if he sings American Pie, you know, not to fully debate your point, David, but even if, you know, a moment of him singing American Pie doesn't offset the rest of the bad writing. It's just a moment. It's a pretty moment. It's a lovely moment, but it's just a moment. It's not a character arc, nor is it good writing.
Again, David Harbour's best part is in the opening scene. And I actually thought that the way he goes back, the way he does seem like a comforting father to the girls. And then he has the Russian accent when he's talking to Dreykov. And then he's trying to comfort them when they're about to be taken to the Red Room. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, Last time we're going to see him do any bit of decent acting. Go ahead, Dave.
I mean, like, hyperbole notwithstanding, like, it's just when people say, oh, there's, you know, this character does nothing, you know, nothing for, you know, the children. It's like, well, there was the scene where he did try and comfort his daughter. Like
98% nothing.
Yeah, okay, 98% nothing, sure.
And I still maintain you could completely remove that character from the script and change nothing about how this movie goes.
You need more of him, having to come to grips with, you know, what he did for his country versus the price that his surrogate family paid for it.
Point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's another thing. I didn't like instead of doing anything with him and, you know, and his fall from grace, which would have been a great cutaway from all, you know, the Scarlett Johansson show. And like, let's do a little something with David Harbour here and how he was the great Red Guardian and he fell flat on his face and ended in prison. How about show us that? Instead, we get sort of an off the cuff kind of almost ad-libbed thing about, he said a thing and they got mad and so he went to prison. Russians are bad. Russians are bad.
He even he even discusses how, you know, it's like, so Captain America, does he say anything about me? Mm-hmm. But we are not given, but they talk about in the prison, he's like, you said you fight Captain America. Well, when you say you fight him, 80s. He was still frozen. Right. Yeah, so it's like, so did he even fight Captain America? Did he do what he said he did?
No. Yeah, like this is sort of my last thing on Red Guardian is I think they missed a huge opportunity at the end when he starts to fight Taskmaster and Taskmaster takes out the shield. Like that would have been a great moment where it's like, you know, this is it. I can fight Captain America, even if it's, you know, the copy. But like they just didn't do anything with it. It's just like, okay, we're just fighting now.
And she beats him, by the way.
Mostly off screen and without any issue.
Right. So this was a joke butt character that they this was a way for them to project issues onto him, and then, you know, and they gave him nothing heroic to do. I'm like angry. If there's anything that I'm angry about with this movie, it's how and like, I'm not like a big Red Guardian fan or anything like that, but they brought this character into the movie, and it was as if this was what I was getting to before. It was as if they sat around and they were like, well, this movie's going to be set in Russia, and Black Widow is Russian, so we need Russian Marvel characters. Who do we have? Red Guardian. We'll throw him in there then.
And
Robert?
also, not to mention, total waste of David Harbour, who I genuinely like and I think is a very good actor.
Yeah,
they went with
what's my motivation here? Joey from Friends, David. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, they even sneak in a bad joke about him being the Crimson Dynamo instead of the Red Guardian.
I laughed at that.
Crimson
yeah,
Dynamo
but you have
being,
to make us think of freaking Mickey Rourke and Iron Man 2.
In Iron Man 2, he's Whiplash.
Yeah,
they tried to combine him. He's supposed to be an amalgamation of Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo.
I'm aware, but it's...
Robert, take me home, baby doll.
Oh, God. This movie was a chore. It boggles my mind that you can get this talent assembled. Let me just... In all seriousness, if you get a movie starring Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, and David Harbour, how do you make something this uninteresting? That is a remarkable cast. You've got 2 Academy Award nominees out of that group, I'm pretty sure. You've got Florence Pugh, who's one of the better actresses going right now. If you haven't seen her performance in Midsommar, it is genuinely remarkable.
That whole movie is just mind-boggling. It haunts you. It stays with you. And her performance in it is amazing.
And you've got David Harbour, who's speaking of David, we lost our David, but hopefully he'll be back. And you've got David Harbour, who is capable of nuance in his character, and also is just a genuinely charming guy, even when he's playing someone who's a little bit more gruff. If you don't believe me, feel free to watch any of Stranger Things, wherein he treads that line expertly. And yet you give them such nothing. I'm not kidding when I say you could completely cut the character of Red Guardian out of this movie and change nothing about the plot. He doesn't add anything. He doesn't do anything. He's there for bad jokes. And if that's all your character is there for, maybe they shouldn't be there. You underuse Rachel Weisz. She doesn't do enough. For some reason, this movie's over 2 hours long. It doesn't need to be.
Because we needed to have 20-minute action sequences, one right on top of the other.
This is a poorly paced movie, as Mark said. Your big finale lacks anything approximating emotional tension because we don't care about anything that happens.
Or the people in it.
Or the people in it.
And then the one thing we want to care about and know about, you have happen off screen.
At least if you had reversed the roles and had Natasha trying to hack the system while Rachel Weisz is the one trying to confront Ray Winstone, there's tension there because we don't know if Rachel Weisz will live. We know Natasha lives. There's no mystery here. There wasn't a life model decoy that was in the other movies. It's not a thing.
Or was it?
Stop.
Speaking of that scene, quick question.
She was a sprawl the whole time, really. No, bite me.
Yeah, quick question.
Have you seen the last few post-credit scenes? Sorry, Alexis.
It's okay. No, it's just saying, I know that we're not, medical experts or anything. Lord knows if we were, we would all have better jobs. Can you actually sever your olfactory nerve by breaking your nose? Because I'm like 90%. Again, I know nothing about biology, but I'm pretty sure that's what she did was not possible. Or at least if she had broken her nose that hard, it should have been gushing a massive amount of blood.
Go ahead, Mr. Wizard.
It's not just breaking your nose. You need to do some pretty serious damage to your face to affect that. You're more likely to affect your sense of taste than you are your sense of smell. And I know they're oddly linked. But you can actually lose feeling in your mouth while maintaining your ability to smell things. Look, if the number of broken noses that I've seen in combat sports has not led to someone, and I've seen some badly shattered noses, I could give you a list if you're interested.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, don't need to see pictures.
Yeah, feel free to look. If you're interested, look up Mike Perry's nose, look up Thiago Alves's nose, Rich Franklin's multiple times. Look how Look at how freaking Jerome LeBanner's nose looks now, and it's been broken multiple times. It's not at the moment.
You and I have a very different idea of what I'm not interested in seeing what broken noses look like means.
That's for the audience as much as for you guys. So just be warned, if you're going to look at that stuff, it ain't pleasant.
I do love
If
how
that-
she basically shatters her nose hard enough that she's able to sever the olfactory nerve, but it's still pretty. I mean, I'm sorry, I've seen I've seen broken noses. You don't look like Scarlett Johansson when you have her nose break that hard.
No, you look like Bob Sapp. He broken in my nose.
You
that would have been great if she had the lisp.
It comes out sounding like Mike Tyson. If you shatter your face, maybe. That whole sequence is the dumbest thing in this entire movie.
Should have used a clothespin.
Well, they at least
I don't think
Did you
that
watch
would
the
work
pitch
to block
meeting?
pheromones.
Well, why can't you just stand across the room from him and shoot him?
I know!
Pheromones.
Look. So how close do you have to be for these magic pheromones to work? Can I get you with a sniper rifle? Can I get you with Can I be at the other end of the room? Why was Florence Pugh able to jam her stick into that engine and blow it up? Oh, can I not hurt you directly, but can I hurt you indirectly? In which case, I can turn this table over on you and shoot that chandelier off of your roof and let that drop on you. Like there's no sense to this,
Right.
and that it exists purely for the purpose of letting Ray Winstone monologue, and because someone thought it would be cool to recreate any number of sequences from infinitely better movies where something similar happens. It's stupid. It hurt my soul. The action sequences in this movie. I'm gonna make a reference. I don't know if any of you are gonna get, but why in the world did they let Kevin Dunn edit the fight sequence between the widows? If you don't understand that reference, Kevin Dunn is the production manager for World Wrestling Entertainment, and at the moment has a habit of cutting between his 9 cameras every time someone lands a punch.
Okay. So this is, if you've ever seen the movie Spun, which we also reviewed here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network recently, it's like editing while being on meth and perceiving what you've edited on meth.
It's ridiculous. There's a cut after every punch that lands in that fight sequence. It's disorienting and stupid and makes it impossible to follow.
Well, usually the cuts are like that because somebody has thrown a punch and they have obviously air punched.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a cut to make sure that the audience can't actually see that they haven't punched. So by that extension, we just have to assume that all the girls they hired to play the widows are horrible at fight cinematography.
Hey, it takes a long time to train someone how to fight good.
Yeah, almost like these characters are supposed to be good at it.
Like I think like when they did the original Matrix, they figured it would take about 2 weeks for the kung fu training. It took 5 months.
Look, it's very I'm not saying it's an easy skill. It's a very, very difficult skill. But you then either have to get the appropriate people, get competent stunt doubles, or just let them hit each other and leave that in, which I don't object to either. That's how most of the Hong Kong action movies are made. They're actually hitting each other just with the appropriate amounts of control and reaction.
Or you could just do it with editing and realize that
or you can
the majority of people who care about this thing really don't matter for the general audience.
Or you can send half your audience into an epileptic seizure with your constant cuts.
What else, Robert?
Well, apparently there is a shortage of beautiful women in Hollywood who know how to throw a punch.
Color me shocked. And for the record, fix that.
I bet Gina Carano knows how.
She does, actually, now that you mention it.
Hey, I actually taught my unofficial niece how to throw a punch. I taught her basic self-defense.
Ball up the fist, reach way back, and assert yourself.
That's a terrible way to teach that punch, by the way, because everyone who does it like...
What else, Robert?
Punches like this.
What else,
which
Robert?
Will destroy your wrist. You got to keep that flat.
Yeah, fold your... Ow! Or just let your Labrador climb on top of you and try to eat your headset. Damn it, Cleo! Excuse me, guys.
I mentioned this before, and this is kind of my last big thing. The character of Yelena Belova is written in such a way that she is written as the cool, shiny new toy. That's what she's designed to be. She gets nothing but cool lines, and here's all and I'm gonna break the fourth wall a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit meta by mocking your hero poses. And aren't I just the coolest, hippest, bestest new thing ever? Please buy my toys.
She does have the best line in the whole movie.
In defense of Florence Pugh, she's acting so well in this movie, and she has such funny lines. I don't care about any of that personally. I mean, you can if you want to. I personally don't.
Can and do.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's got the best line. This is a cool way to die. I'm sorry. I thought that was a great line.
It is a great line.
I think her best line is, okay, let go of me. You smell really bad. That's my favorite line of the whole movie.
She has a few. Yeah, I just think maybe they should turn her down from 11 to 10, and then it would be just right.
It was just trying way too hard to make people care about the new character. That's my big gripe with that. Which is a flaw in the writing. And Florence Pugh, to her eternal credit, does the best job anyone could have done with this crap.
Actually, speaking of Pugh's character and everything, this was supposed to come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier, which introduced Contessa Valentina.
This was supposed to come out before everything. Yeah, I'll let you finish your point. But the whole timeline got fucked up because it was supposed to be this, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Eternals, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, and then I think Shang-Chi. It all got messed up.
Which should tell you how little any of that matters.
I'll say, well, what do you guys think? I'm assuming, I know that, David, you've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, right?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. I just couldn't remember.
Is this about the chain of custody of the Shield?
I hate you so much, Mark.
That's what binds us all together. The founding principle of this podcast network.
What did you guys think about how they introduced Countess Valentina and how this was supposed to be her introduction to the MCU rather than what we got with her appearance in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I still have no idea who she is.
She's nobody.
She's not nobody. She's a character in the comic books as well.
In theory.
She's known as something different, but it's the same character. I read that today on the wiki.
Look,
to answer your question, Alexis,
jokey, wannabe Nick Fury that makes me want to gouge my eyes out. I didn't even stay for the post-credit scene because I knew what she did.
I preferred the Falcon and Winter Soldier. She actually has like a bit to do in the Falcon and Winter Soldier and sort of, getting John Walker going along, whereas here she drops off a tablet. So I preferred the Falcon and Winter Soldier bit.
And for the record, her alias in the comics is Madam Hydra.
That's the one.
Really?
Yes, that's the one.
You cast Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Madam Hydra.
Well, they got to find something. Lord knows none of her other projects have stuck.
Hey, Veep went on for a really long time.
And if only it were still going, she could still be toiling in that pile of obscurity, and none of us would have to care.
Veep was not obscure. It was on HBO. Robert, finish up.
Look, its existence on HBO does not make it not obscure.
I think it won a bunch of awards.
Probably, but no one cares about awards.
Oh my God.
Moving on.
I only say that because they go to crap no one watches, which is a big gripe. It's another gripe I have that I need to get off my chest in a minute or two. Final thoughts on this. This movie is a red Solo cup. It is crap. It is barely biodegradable. It is designed to be used once and then discarded just as quickly.
Oh, okay. That's what you meant by that. Okay. I thought this was an advertisement for alcohol.
No. This is me dismissing everything about this movie as nothing but cheap crap for children.
Who enjoyed it, by the way. I saw it with 3 of them. Hey, one last thing I want to say, and then we're going to move on.
It's almost like a comic book.
Hang on, let me get this point out of the way because this goes to a larger issue I'm having with film at the moment, and I promise I'll be brief. When I say this is mostly cheap crap for children, that's not meant to denigrate anyone who enjoyed it. If you're an adult who enjoyed this, I'm not calling you an infant. I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm not dismissing your take or your enjoyment or your personality or whatever you want to say. I'm not. I enjoy plenty of crap. I enjoy plenty of crap for kids. I am not standing above you all, looking down my nose at the peasantry. I am one of you when it comes to the vast majority of this stuff in terms of kind. But anything like this is made for not just the broadest possible audience. That's not my biggest gripe about this. This is actually made to be the most anodyne, milquetoast, least offensive thing that appeals to small children who they're trying to make fans for life. and it results in a giant pile of nothing that means nothing, that is uninteresting.
Well, hang on. It resulted in children wanting to buy the Black Widow comic books for their age group.
Sure.
No, I know that for a fact.
I believe you. I don't care because the Black Widow comics aren't all that good right now, and neither are most of the comics in publication. So they're doing these stupid tie-ins to try and boost sales. It's a age-old publishing trick. And I just miss... I miss when movies like this, big movies that are designed to be seen by a lot of people, could also be interesting and say something about the human condition and make you care about characters and all. And we've just kind of lost that over the last decade or so of filmmaking. And this movie just helped crystallize how much I missed that, because it's a glorified commercial for Disney Plus.
Well, speaking of glorified commercials, Robert, I think what would have made this movie better would be if they had done like the James Gunn approach and filled it up like they did with Cruella with pop music of the modern day that we all love and enjoy.
I would... That opening bit they did with the slowed down meant to be creepy smells like Teen Spirit.
Oh my God. I wanted to run out of the theater, run to Utah, find you and go, they did it again, Robert. They did it again.
I know what you're talking about. I kept on imagining the lyrics to Smells Like Nirvana.
No, Robert and I
was hoping so.
Bad Peter Pan remake a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's sitting in the archives. We'll eventually get it re-aired, probably when Peter.
Yeah, I listened to it.
That's right. You were a fan back then. But yeah, one of the things they did was like the kids, like the Lost Boys or some shit, chanting "Smells Like Teen Spirit." And Robert and I at least spent an hour of that podcast just talking about that. So when I heard them do the slow rendition of "Smells Like Teen Spirit," I really wanted to run and find you.
I appreciate that. That sequence made me want to vomit from my eyes.
Well, Robert, if I know you're not a huge fan of the late murdered Kurt Cobain.
Committed suicide. Deal with it.
You deal with it. But if you...
I have no emotional attachment to the guy. I think his music sucks. I don't care that he's dead.
Well, if you disagree with Robert and love Nirvana, do you know where you can listen to some Nirvana for free for a month? If you click our link for getamazonmusic.com/W2M network, you can get a free 30 days of amazonmusic.com on us. You can download all the Nirvana you want. You can download Nevermind. You can download In Utero. You can download their Unplugged session they did for MTV where he covered a bunch of like David Bowie and shit. All the Nirvana is there for you to experience on AmazonMusic.com. And they could have used the real version of Smells Like Teen Spirit in the Black Widow movie. They could have taken it from AmazonMusic.com. So if you want a free 30 days of that service, click the link in the description of this podcast. Get AmazonMusic.com/W2M network. You like the service, you keep it. You don't, you can cancel it. No fuss, no muss once your 30 days is up. And with that, for the love of God, let's go to the money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
All righty. With a $200 million budget-ish collectively, and this was a big thing this weekend, Disney doesn't normally share their analytics in terms of what is watched on Disney Plus or how much things make from Disney Premier Access. But they did this weekend. They were crowing about it because it did fairly well, I guess. So collectively, worldwide and on Disney Plus, this thing's made about $166.3 million. It obviously won the weekend for July 9th through July 11th. Where is the weekend? Ah, there we go. Yeah, it. Here we go. Black Widow came in at number one. It grossed $80 million domestically in theaters. Fast 9 fell from 1 to 2. Boss Baby Family Business, which is also day and date on Peacock, went from 2 to 3. It's also Boss Baby, from what I understand, is for what it is, and the analytics they were looking at is actually doing better than expected. all things considered. The Forever Purge fell from 3 to 4. Quiet Place 2, 4 to 5. Cruella maintained its spot at number 6. The Hitman's Wife Bodyguard 5 to 7. Peter Rabbit 2, 7 to 8. The Conjuring 8 to 9. Zola, which I loved, by the way, and did a short review on TikTok if anyone cares, fell from 9 to 10. In the Heights 10 to 11. Summer of Soul, which is currently on Hulu, 11 to 12. Spirit Untamed, which you can get on Amazon, currently 12 to 13. 12 Mighty Orphans maintained at 14. Queen Bees went up 2 spots, 17 to 15. The Loneliest Whale debuted at 16. Raya and the Last Dragon, 19 to 17. I Carry You With Me jumped up a bunch from 23 to 18. Werewolves Within, currently on VOD, had a short stint in the theaters, dropped from 16 to 19. And Witnesses maintained its spot at 20. Summertime debuted at 21. Scales at 30. Here's where we stand worldwide. Hi Mom, Detective Chinatown still at the top. Fast 9 climbing the charts with 544 million.
Not much more with those. For the record, it dropped another 50% week to week, for weekend to weekend from last week, which was was like a 70% drop from its previous week. So that thing it's rapidly plateauing.
Godzilla vs. Kong maintaining its spot at number 4, though having just been surpassed by F9, it was in the number 3 spot. A Quiet Place Part 2 doing fairly well at almost 280 million. Cruella still in the top 10, 217 million for that thing. And if you want to hear us, if you think we were cruel to Black Widow, you should see what we thought about Cruella.
Really should give it a lick. If you haven't heard it, give it a click. You can find it.
The Conjuring at 183 million, Impasse 181, and Black Widow debuting in the top 10 at 165 million. Rounding out the top 10 is A Writer's Odyssey. Rounding out the top 20, Peter Rabbit's Sister, Alexis's favorite movie, Tom and Jerry. That was an opportunity for you to give me the finger again. You want me to do it again?
I think the icy stare says it all.
I think I need to step away. I think I need to step away from my camera for a split second. My dog needs to go outside. You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Ryan the Last Dragon at number 14. My Love 15. Wrath of Man 16. Detective Conan at 17. Endgame, not the one you're thinking of, at 18. Evangelion 19. And finally, Mortal Kombat in the top 20 with 83 million.
That's a hard G, Mark. It's Evangelion. This weekend, the big wide release is Space Jam. Another wide release is Escape Room 2 Tournament of Champions, or just the Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Oh, God. I cannot believe they went with that subheading. Like, that's just.
I don't think Black Widow is going to maintain its spot at the number 1. I think Space Jam is going to be the number 1 for the weekend.
I might disagree with you there.
Well, let's have a quick conversation about that. I maintain that between its availability on Disney Premiere Plus, plus the a lot of people who were going to see the theaters probably have already seen it at this point. That Space Jam being a popular franchise, especially with children and families, I think those people that go to the theater are going to go see it this weekend, and you're going to see a steep drop off for Black Widow. Your response, sir?
Let me start with this. You're probably correct. I'm going to give you that you are probably correct. Here's sort of my counter. Space Jam's not a beloved franchise. It's a singular entity that existed in the 1990s. LeBron James has also done a world-class job of pissing off huge swaths of the population who might not see it just to stick it to him. Which is funny because I don't think it actually does, but that's neither here nor there. Also, it just looks so dumb. and LeBron James is not Michael Jordan in terms of his popular culture appeal.
I think we can both agree, just using Black Widow as an example, that just because it's dumb doesn't mean the people won't go. It's a movie for the people.
Hang on. I'm aware of that, Black Widow is an entry into this vaunted pop culture monolith. Space Jam was a bizarrity that existed only in its own time. I don't think you can do Space Jam again. I'm just of that opinion. Now, again, people are going to see it. I'm certainly not expecting it to flop.
My kids can't wait to go on Monday.
I'm aware.
Are you?
Look, we're talking about the wide swath of humanity here, not just us individually. Between the number of people LeBron James has pissed off, the sheer stupidity, the poor track record that the Looney Tunes movies have recently.
Recently, they haven't made a movie in over 10 years.
I was just about to say.
I might be sorry. Okay, just Warner Brothers Animation. Then let's widen that statement a little bit.
But Tom and Jerry did so well.
Did it though?
In it, I'm not even trying to get Alexis's goat because I enjoy that sort of thing. If you look comparatively speaking in the window that it was released, under the circumstances it was released, considering it's still doing better than Raya and the Last Dragon, yeah, there's people at Warner Brothers toasting Tom and Jerry.
I do genuinely wonder if Tom and Jerry would hold that edge over Raya and the Last Dragon if we knew the Premiere Plus numbers for Raya, but that's neither here nor there. Well,
an even better question is, all things being equal and the world doesn't end, and you put Raya versus Tom and Jerry in theaters exclusively, one against the other, even in the same weekend, how much better would have Tom and Jerry fared than Raya and the Last Dragon? I'll go ahead and say something controversial. I will pluck from the Jason Teasley line of I'm gonna say something controversial and piss people off. I did it less hickey that time.
Yeah, but you still can't get the accent right.
And at this point, I'm not even trying. And that is, I would venture to say that all things being equal, the world doesn't end. Theater to theater, I still think Tom and Jerry beats Raya and the Last Dragon. I think there's an element of Hollywood that kind of that listens to this podcast. And I think they realize what we've been saying all along to one degree or another is that people want the stupid. People want the dumb. They don't want the thoughtful. They don't want the interesting. They don't even want representation. That Hollywood wants representation. The people don't. What the people want is pie in the face or in the horse's butt. And that's Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Mark, but football in the groin had a football in the groin.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Dave.
I wish I had a logical counter to that, but I don't. Look, the only thing I'll say,
therefore, Space Jam will beat Black Widow in its opening weekend.
I think we should just be grateful that out of all this, that every so often someone does make something good.
Well, look, no. Hang on. Zola exists. Plenty of good things get made. They don't all end up in theaters and nobody goes to see them, but they do get made and they are out there if you find them. Robert Winfree will take you into the orchard and will find you the freshest fruit. He will.
No, I won't. My enthusiasm for all of this. Look, everything I said about the nature of film being made right now, especially if we're talking studio productions, it has utterly annihilated my ability. And this is not a sarcastic comment. I'm not doing this for laughs. I have nothing to look forward to in the entertainment sphere that I look forward to with joy. It is
not even Dune?
It is a profound. No, it is a profoundly depressing thing when I realized.
What about Nightmare Alley?
Look, you want to run down. If you want to run down the list, I'll say no as much as you want. You can try.
No, I was being earnest when I said that. I figured Guillermo del Toro and Clint Eastwood Western would have at least piqued your interest, seeing as you want to review those.
You were the one who made the pitch for the Clint Eastwood thing. I just went along with it. I don't have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for that project.
Okay.
Nightmare Alley, okay, maybe. We'll see how my mental health is by the time we get to
wrap up the money here. Then, I think Black Widow's run at the number one spot in the theaters is going to be 1 week only. I think it gets beat by Space Jam. Robert disagrees. We'll see who's right.
Again, that's not a hill I'm going to die on, but neither of them is holding by the time Snake Eyes comes out, even though that looks dumber than a bag of rocks.
So yeah, and then I think Space Jam only lasts a week before Snake Eyes wins, and then we're into Suicide Squad. Yes, no,
Jungle
Not yet.
Cruise.
Jungle Cruise, and then we're into Suicide Squad. So here's what's going to end up happening. Black Widow is the number one movie of its weekend. It'll get unseated by Space Jam, which gets unseated by Snake Eyes, which gets unseated by Jungle Cruise, which gets unseated by Suicide Squad. I think I passed it already. Yep, there it is. Suicide Squad, which then gets unseated by Free Guy. So we're in this. This is something.
You know what? That's another one I'm not certain of. I'm
You don't
not
think so?
certain. I'm not certain that Free Guy will beat Suicide Squad in its second week.
You're just saying that because they did the promo with Korg.
No, I genuinely am not sure about the reach and appeal of Free Guy. Like, that's my big gripe here. It's not Korg. It's not Deadpool. It's not that I dislike Ryan Reynolds. All of those things are true. I hate all of those to one degree or another. But now that we know what the concept of Free Guy is, it's a glitch in a video game. Like,
Yeah,
Ryan,
the film will only appeal to people who are interested in video games.
that's not the point.
That is the point. That's the entire point.
The point is, anyone who plays a video game who's ever dealt with a glitchy NPC like that goes, why didn't you deal with this sooner, to everyone who's trying to man the servers? And the poor people who actually run those games pull out a little bit more of their hair as they try to figure out what's going wrong.
We'll see.
I don't think that's what anyone else has thought of looking at that trailer.
All right, real quick. Alexis, you want to take a stab in the dark at what you think Black Widow's end of the day total will be before it's done? Think it shoots up to 500 million, 750. Think it makes $1 billion. What do you think?
No idea.
No idea. Not even
No
want to take a
idea.
stab at it. David,
I'm not the person to take a stab at it. Sorry.
I wanted to include you in the discussion. David, you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Black Widow levels off pretty quick, and yeah, Space Jam will probably do well, possibly better than Black Widow, because family movie, and like all the older millennials will be wanting to take their kids to see this Space Jam thing that they saw when they were kids, but it's for the new generation, and family movies always make more money because more people go to see them.
Yep. Right. Robert.
We lost Robert.
No, I'm
He's
still
still
here.
there.
That's the camera that I'm hoping will reconnect.
Anyway, take the stab at this,
There we go.
then yes, there you are.
What's its current total is what? 200, give or take?
No, it's 160 right now and climbing.
Pessimistically, 370.
I think at the end of the day, before it's out of theaters and unable to make any more money, I think its grand total will be 500 million.
You are very optimistic.
I think it's going to take every single week to get there. But we're talking at the end of its run, the very end of its run, the last nickel it makes puts it over 500 million, but just barely.
370 to 425, somewhere in that range. I don't think this hits 500 million. I don't think there's enough rewatch value.
Yeah,
I don't think there's enough interest.
You know what I do think? Tell you what I do think. I think Eternals. I think Eternals makes twice as much money as Black Widow.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That last bit of dripping idiocy was for Chris Bailey's sake.
For
we
the
should
record,
just start a live stream right until Eternals comes out. All of this discussion.
If I might very briefly respond to that comment, you all know that scene in the teaser trailer that we got of them all sitting around together going, so who do you think's going to lead the Avengers next? There's a half-pregnant pause, and then everyone who didn't utter every character that isn't the one that asked the question says in unison Captain Marvel, and the audience shoots themselves.
Just mass suicides everywhere. All right. So as you can see on the screen here, if you're watching the video, Black Widow has an 80% critical score, 80% fresh, and then a 92% audience score. I think that tells you everything you need to know about this movie.
Neither of those surprises me. Critics are morons about this stuff. They pander to... Look, people talk about the Marvel bias as though Disney is paying these idiots off. They just don't want to get harassed by Marvel fans by saying something bad about these movies, I think.
That's entirely plausible. We'll do a few of these, and then we'll.
Or most of the people who saw an okay movie said, it's an okay movie. Therefore, positive
that's
review.
That's also fair. Again, a lot of these, they go pass fail on this, but I imagine on a grading scale of 1 to 5, most of these were 3 to 2.5s, which I still wouldn't agree with.
Like a lot of people probably view Rotten Tomatoes like the number as in like the measure of the quality of the film.
Yeah, and
so in this case, this Black Widow getting 80% of Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean it's 80% a good movie.
Yeah.
It just means 80% of critics said favorably to it. So I look at it as okay. So if I'm interested in this movie, there's probably an 80% chance I will enjoy the movie. That might be a little bit of enjoyment. It might be an amazing amount of enjoyment, but it means it's an 80% chance I'm not going to hate it.
There's so many of these I want to read right now as the first one of these, but something has to go first. So here we go. Right. Ed Whitfield of the Outre, Robert Winfree, the Outre.
You haven't heard from that particular publication in a little bit.
We love the Outre here on Damn You Hollywood.
We really don't.
It's as if someone ripped out the movie's uterus.
They need to go into more detail to make it funnier.
Fire that man. I know it's a man because you read the name because his name is Ed. Fire that guy.
You know it was a man just from the way that was written.
I know, right? Like no woman would. I don't mean to say this is some kind of pejorative, but there's things that men don't joke about and that women don't joke about. Women don't joke about hysterectomies.
No, we don't.
Mark Jackson of Epoch Times. Martial arts heavy. Martial arts heavy. Martial arts. Sorry, TikTok. Martial arts.
You
heavy.
Moron. Not you, Mark. This idiot.
I know, and that's why I read this one. I know who I'm dealing with here. Let me just get through this, and then please continue starting at you, moron. Martial arts heavy widow leans more towards. Oh, for fuck's sake! I can't even get through this now.
Jason Bourne than Iron Man.
Mark broke himself.
I will read this for you. Hang on.
No, I got this. Let me do my
sure?
job. I think I can get through this now.
You sure about that? I can see the last line.
Well, this just gets better and better.
Martial arts heavy widow leans more towards Jason Bourne than Iron Man.
But that is true.
So you get a real feeling fantasy flick instead of, as in the case of F9, a fake feeling real flick.
Like when they launched the car into space.
Which makes for a much more satisfying actioner.
And the magic magnets that can propel and attract.
Actioner is a word.
I want to apologize to Alexis Hejna for causing her brain tumors with my shenanigans, because now I've got one. I'm a tumor.
Okay, moron.
Which one?
No. Oh, wait. This is actually written by someone named Mark. So, okay, Mark the moron, and you can decide which one I'm talking to.
2-for-1 special.
This is not martial arts heavy. That is simply demonstrably true. There's not a lot of martial arts action. You only get one prolonged hand-to-hand fight sequence. You get an abbreviated one between Widow and Taskmaster, a slightly longer one between Natasha and Yelena, and then not really another one for the rest of the movie. There's a lot more car chases and a little bit of gunplay than there are martial arts.
By the way, it was a tank.
APC,
Whatever.
actually.
It was one of the 3 links in that monstrosity that Dom Toretto hijacked in F9. That's all it was. Hang on. No. I'm not done with this idiot.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It is not martial arts heavy. This doesn't actually lean more towards Jason Bourne than Iron Man, unless you're doing in the strictest sense where Iron Man deals a bit more with science fiction and this deals a bit more with espionage. That's the most pedantic way to be correct about this. In every other sense, including every bit of visual style, every bit of movie logic, this is wildly different from Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne at least goes for a modicum of realism in the first movie. After that, it goes off a cliff in that respect as well. But hey, what are you going to do about contemporary cinema? This is not a real feeling fantasy flick. You moron. Natasha falls off of an 80-foot tower, impacts 3 pieces of railing and air duct work before crashing into the ground, landing on her feet flat and not shattering her ankles. Get bent with your real-feeling fantasy, you degenerate hack.
And there's nobody even there to tell her that that's Russia's ass. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
I want to take this
I
moment
would
to
not
remind.
dignify that.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, I would just like to take this moment
you wouldn't.
to
No, you wouldn't just yet, because we need to
Okay,
talk about
fine.
Grammarly. You can come back to it in a second. Let me get this plug in. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M network to download Grammarly for free. Grammarly's a great sponsor. They are sponsoring this bit that David's about to do. This bit is sponsored by Grammarly, David. Go, David.
Okay, so Mr. Jackson, in regards to this being a martial arts heavy film, I would like you to open up your favorite web browser, go to your favorite search engine, and press the following keys on your phone or keyboard: B, R, U, C, E, spacebar, L, E, E, enter.
I'm like Bruckle. Wait, no. Got it. I'm good now.
Yeah, you can also look for Jackie Chan, Jet Li. Just because
Tony
someone
Jaa.
did a kick thing, yeah, Tony Jaa, good one, yeah, did a kicky thing, does not mean it's a martial arts heavy movie.
All right. Well, in the spirit of representation, here's one for the ladies. I have to actually switch camera angles just so I can make sure I see the reaction when I do stuff like that. Gabrielle Marceau of The Film Stage. There is surprisingly little girl power rhetoric here, as if the film itself was weary of years of female superhero discourse.
Oh, God. Why? Just why?
I went back to see Alexis's reaction. I want to hear from Alexis first. So, Alexis, did you know that this was, what was the phrase? Surprising little girl power rhetoric in this one?
I'm sorry. Did we need a scene akin to Avengers Endgame where Melina, Yelena, and Natasha all walk together to take down Dreykov?
And say the girls get it done, don't you know?
They have to power walk with the theme music blaring.
But
You know what
Mark,
this-
you made Brie Larson happy by reading that review.
Well, I'm a man reading it, so I'm sure right there, I didn't make her happy. I should get my daughter to come in and read that one.
The problem with I'm reading, I got the reviews up on my computer too. The problem is I don't understand if Miss Marceau here is being sarcastic, or she's actually saying that they're weary of years of female superheroes, because it's like, no, we haven't had that many female superheroes, and the ones that we've had, we've tried to bury out of pure undiluted shame.
No, but over the last, I think the point there is over the last 2 to 3 years, every female-led superhero movie has to beat you over the head with it.
You know what this movie needed? More Wonder Woman theme.
Zack Snyder's favorite track, One Woman Wailing.
All right, moving on. Peter Howell of Night Vision. All the action set pieces and explosions happen on cue, and Shortland handles the character development better. Shortland handles character development better than most MCU directors, Robert.
False.
That is a demonstrably incorrect statement.
Yeah, did the Russo brothers die? Are they now attributing
Did
those movies to
Favreau
someone else?
die?
Yeah, I don't understand
James
here.
Gunn.
Please, tell me the character arc for the Red Guardian. Tell me the character arc for Melina. And no, deciding not to be evil is not a character arc. Tell me the character arc. Tell me the character arc for Yelena.
Yelena actually is the only one who gets something even remotely close to a character arc.
She gets emotional moments. She doesn't have an arc of any kind.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
She gets unmind controlled. And then from that moment to the end of the movie is the same character.
She projects and she expresses. But she does not in any way change. She is the same woman, other than being mind controlled, that she is from the beginning to the end of the film. Adam Kempenaar of Film Spotting, top critic, Red Star, best of the best. To ensure that all of our behemoth pop culture franchises become one indistinguishable mass of content, the MCU is now faster and furiouser.
Sir, you are condemned and cursed for even remotely comparing this movie to the Fast and the Furious franchise.
And this is from the people on the podcast that don't like this movie.
Yeah.
I'm happy to give you the general premise that the MCU is becoming a homogenized mess that is indistinguishable from itself. Okay, I actually might grant you that premise. How do you get from that to this movie is like any entry into that godforsaken hellhole that is the Fast and Furious franchise? There is no comparison there to be had. Shame on you for just trying to dovetail from last week to this week.
There's a bunch of these I just need to read in a row. I know we should do these one by one, but like there's just a block here, and it's like it almost builds like a film franchise. Like it starts out bad, and then it just gets worse and worse. And just when you think it can't get any dumber, you're like, "Holy shit! That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." And I've done this podcast for 5 years. Rick Marshall of Digital Trends, Black Widow exceeds expectations with a fast-moving adventure that finally gives Scarlett Johansson's Avenger the solo chapter she deserves. No, it doesn't. Joe Fryer, Fort Worth Report.
This is a terribly paced movie. It's over 2 hours when it doesn't need to be, and the middle is nigh unwatchable. Shame on you.
My expectations.
Johansson and Pugh are dynamite together in the MCU spy thriller, true. That plays like Mission Impossible, false, with exhilarating action sequences.
Also very much so false.
Alfie Ren of Entertainment Voice. It gives a great female character a stronger treatment than in previous titles, like Endgame and Infinity War, you fucking asshole, while at the same time guiding her to the exit, like Endgame, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous sentiment to attach to this.
But
movie.
It kept worse.
I know.
Maybe they just copy pasted their Endgame review.
Sebastian Zavala, I would have had more respect for that. Sebastian Zavala Khan of Me Gusta El Cine. There's no denying that Black Widow would have fared better if it was released 4 years ago. No shit, Sherlock. But it should still be able to satisfy most Marvel fans. Never mind. I'm going to insult somebody who I actually like if I say what I'm about to say. So instead, in the coup de grace of this medley of idiotic reviews, Robert?
I see it.
Okay, are you ready to blast off into space?
Sure.
Edwin Amadin. Alexis, this is the jump in the foxhole bit.
I'm not going to explode, I promise.
Edwin Amadin of Asheville Movies, one of the best standalone MCU films ever, because nobody remembered The Winter Soldier and it got shot into space.
No one remembered The Winter Soldier. No one remembered the first Iron Man. No one remembered
Black Panther.
No one remembered Black Panther. That's fair. No one remembered the first Thor movie is better than this.
For the record, though, actually,
Ant-Man is better than this.
Actually,
Doctor Strange is better than this.
I don't know if you can call those standalone MCU films, though.
Iron
Man. Which ones are out? There's a big list.
Well, here's the thing. This is kind of a standalone film because it's the only one that we know that's not going to get a direct sequel because Natasha's dead.
Okay.
How are we defining standalone? Here's the problem.
In which
that argument with me doesn't hold water because this doesn't stand alone. It connects to the Marvel on Disney Plus series.
Well, then I would say, what is the definition of a standalone film then?
Not the Avengers.
I think that's all they mean.
Not an ensemble.
Okay,
focusing primarily on one character. Sorry.
See, when I think standalone, I think I have trouble thinking of a lot of the MCU films because they build into one another and they all have and they have direct sequels. Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor, Thor: The Dark World, Thor: Ragnarok, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Ant-Man.
I think it just means solo hero story.
Okay.
Do one or two more of these, and then we'll
Oh, apparently you pissed off Robert enough that his camera self-destructed.
This was it. This was the film that finally broke him.
He's back.
No. Look, my camera freezes on occasion, and the only way to fix it is to unplug it and plug it back in. I'm still. Anytime you see that happen, my mic is still on. My mic is not connected to my. I use the headphone mic, not my webcam mic, so I should still be good to talk.
Oh, we just prefer to make fun of the fact that you've probably gone off camera to go rage.
I do my raging in public and on camera.
Hannah Rachel Abraham of Cultured Vultures. Black Widow is a well-intentioned standalone film that does more to highlight Florence Pugh's star quality that then serve as a fitting farewell to Marvel's first female Avenger. The fitting fucking farewell was Endgame. Christ, have we turned into fish?
Okay.
That review is technically not wrong because it's there's actually multiple interviews with Kevin Feige talking about how much he loves Florence Pugh and how he's really excited.
Yeah, that part of it I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, no, that part is 100% right.
Yeah, that's not why I read that. I read that because of the stupid thing dismissing her end in Endgame.
All right, listen, people. I'm not going to explode. Not going to explode. If you don't understand that the appropriate end for that character, this woman who thinks of herself as a monster, as someone who has done such horrible things that no matter how much good she does in the world, no matter how many lives she saves, no matter how many apocalypses she stops, she can never make up for the horribleness of her life. If you can't see the beautiful poetry in that character, looking at the only real friend she has in the world, who's just been down his own dark path for 5 years, and going, you can still come back. This is the only way for me to balance what's wrong with me. This is the only way for me to find peace. And letting herself go so that half of existence can be brought back. I can't help you.
Felix Velasquez Jr. of Cinema Craze is amused easily. Delivers on every front as a comic book movie, MCU entry, and summer blockbuster.
Yeah, buddy, your standards are embarrassingly low.
Robert, I think we need to get some money together and start a film studio and just call it Jingling Keys Pictures.
I'm down.
I'm going to read this last one.
I'm sure. Look, we'd be bought out by Blumhouse fairly quickly, but
I'm going to read this last one.
Or Disney.
Just because we have found the thing that culture seems to have become obsessed with for some odd reason, and it's one of those where if you don't do this one thing in your review or this one line of the review, I'm actually fine with this. But you did this thing and it just ruins the whole thing now. Lee McCoy of Drum Dums.
Yeah, vaunted website, publication, whatever. Yeah, that's
dum dums.
Moving along.
Millions of monkeys, Finally, Natasha R. can have her own movie. But it's a few years too late and chock full of superficial characters, eye-rolling suspensions of disbelief. Now, had he just stopped there, I wouldn't even be reading this. But then he had to go and put in parentheses, rest easy, F9, and forced humor.
Just why?
Why? Why is right?
That doesn't even make sense in the context of what you're trying to do. Why take an unnecessary shot at an unrelated movie?
That's what I'm saying.
That's just stupid.
As if there's never been a dumber movie than F9. I can name several. I won't do so now.
The entire Transformers franchise. Let's start there.
Let's start with the last night of the Transformers franchise.
Look, again, you wanted 9. I just gave you 5. Every Transformers movie is dumber than Fast 9.
Pacific
Every
Rim
single
2.
one of them. Pacific Rim 2. 100%.
All right.
Being a little harsh, but okay.
Tell me I'm wrong. Well, that.
He will. We did an entire podcast on it. Sean was there. All right. That's enough for me. Thanks. I'm driving. Tomorrow, Jesse releases an Unspoken Issues. What if the Punisher killed Spider-Man? Alexis and I will.
The answer to all of those is things would be better. Anytime the what ifs are what if somebody killed somebody, it would be better.
Terrific.
I want to make sure you have that moment saved for when we actually review the What If show.
Alexis,
we're doing those one at a. Hang on, we're doing those one at a time if memory serves, because we.
No. Well, hang on. I said if anyone's going to do those one at a time, y'all get together and do it yourselves, and I'll take it off the schedule and I'll just sit out those. I'm not doing
all right, fair enough.
Have you? Hang on. You know what, Robert Winfree? How dare you, sir? Hold
on.
You?
I know that had been discussed. I wasn't sure what had been decided.
Do you see what I'm fucking dealing with here?
I have access to your calendar, sir. I do know.
This is just July. Look at August. Are you crazy? September. That's a lot of red. Look, October. Every fucking day.
I'm telling you, you have shared the calendar with me. I've seen it. I know what's up.
I did that for a friend of mine. His wife thought it was the best thing ever. My wife wanted to punch me in the jaw.
I think we know what Mark's hell is going to look like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like Lucifer will be there like, Mark, you can exit the door. And I say, no, I got to fix the schedule.
All of these possessions and people coming to hell, all wrong. We need to schedule this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's going to put you in charge of scheduling with the caveat that when you get it right, when a single week goes off without a hitch, you can leave.
Oh, Mark's going to basically be turned into Twilight Sparkle.
My wife's friend said her love language was organization and scheduling, and thought my schedule was the sexiest thing she'd ever seen. Love you, Elizabeth.
Well, that's working out for you.
Wow, there really is a fetish for everything.
Welcome to humanity.
Moving on.
Not kink shaming at all. I just never heard that one.
So what if Punisher killed Spider-Man? We'll find out when Unspoken Issue releases shortly after this podcast. Myself and Alexis Hejna, take 3, will be reviewing the second season of Looney Tunes 2A, presumably. And then instead of doing a Metal Hammer of Doom, myself and Jesse Starcher are going to do a triple feature for Gunpowder Milkshake, No Sudden Move, and The Misfits. Thursday, myself, Chris Bailey, and Pat Mullen will be doing a Mania of WrestleMania, this time focusing on the big one, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, in front of 100 zillion people. With a broken back, Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, he did.
And in doing so, he saved the sapien race of Zorgon 7 as they were watching live on satellite.
That is absolutely correct. The Mania of WrestleMania 3. Friday, in theory, will be a re-airing of Robert and I reviewing the 2015 Cinderella.
We had nothing but positive things to say about that movie.
Yeah, for all of us, it's like they're so negative. They just tear everything apart. We gush over that Cinderella movie with what was it, Lily James that's in that?
Yeah.
Jason.
What's his face? Not Kenneth Branagh, the other famous Shakespearean actor.
Yeah.
The one who thinks Shakespeare didn't write Shakespeare, I forget his name.
Jason Teasley and I will be jumping into the muck and mire as we review Netflix's America the Motion Picture, Team America World Police, because America, fuck yeah, and Nerdland with Patton Oswalt, which apparently is a pile of garbage, but, hey, I needed another movie for this triple feature, so.
To the shock of, wait for it, no one.
Jesse Starcher and Alexis Hejna hosted another Tripped Up Trivia, this time focusing on WB animation. I was there, my father was there, Jason Teasley was there, and some guy named Griffin was there. And fun was had by all, and all the stuff that was not fun was cut from this show. And
God bless you, Jesse, for having to edit all of that.
And then finally, a re-airing of Sean Comer and I doing our Long Road to Ruin for the 3 animated Cinderella movies, one which went to theaters and the other 2 were straight to video.
Didn't I sit in on that?
You may have. I don't remember.
I think that was one of the first podcasts I ever did for you.
We have a source material with Evan Bevins doing Black Widow, Deadly Origin. And for more Evan Bevins, you can check out our review of the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. For more Robert Winfree, his Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, Captain America villains. And for more of us screaming at critics and tearing down Marvel movies, check out our review of Captain America Civil War, where I went off the deep end and then Andrew Graham yelled at me for years and years and years.
If I go into the group chat right now and bring it up, he will yell at you again right now.
Yes, he will. All right, David. Hey, where's our Star Trek review?
It's almost ready.
Still cooking, huh?
Still cooking, but it's almost done. We're nearing the end. It's in sight. Yeah, I'm hoping to get that out in the next week or two.
Woohoo!
What can I say? I'm a thorough editor. I like quality. It's not just that, and I have a life. What little is left.
We appreciate you for it.
Alexis Hejna, I hear you've got a con going on.
Yes. Well, we just did actually.
Phrasing, Mark. She's an honest businesswoman.
Years of this, and you are never going to unplug that thing before you start a show, are you?
In my defense, the volume used to be off. Somebody put it back on recently. I gotta fix it.
Okay, we just did our first event in over a year. So good to be back to work. We made an appearance at the grand opening of Mind Games and Magic in Lee Summit, Missouri. It's a wonderful new geek shop selling board games and magic kits. Had a lot of fun working that. And yes, this coming weekend, we will be having a table at Crypticon, Kansas City. This is a horror-themed show. Among the guests who are going to be there include Michael Biehn and Billy Zane.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. And then after that, we're going to be heading down to Orlando for MegaCon. I actually just saw the list of some of the celebrities they got there. They have they have all 4 of the Hobbits from Lord of the Rings, Elijah Wood, Sean Astin. They have freaking Ron Perlman, who's going to be making an appearance there. So, so excited about that.
I don't think he was a Hobbit in Lord of the Rings, but he should have been.
I need a moment.
You know,
I was not trying to break Alexis with that one.
He could have made it work. He really could have, because Ron Perlman is a professional.
After we get back from Orlando and the extra week that I'm going to be down there, so I can actually enjoy Disney World for the first time. Last time I was in Disney World, you're not going to Disney World. You're a dog. Last time I was at Disney World, they had the sky buckets. That's how long it's been since I've been there.
Wow.
But after we get back, it'll be time for Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City. That's our home show. Always excited to be there. Looking forward to it. You're never going to guess who they just announced as a guest. Paul Sorvino.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to be a guest at Planet Comic-Con.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, bit random, but yeah. And as always, our shops on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon are fully stocked. They have all of our items. I will be putting more stuff up onto the stores as soon as I can take a break from the conventions. That is not happening right now, especially since in addition to that, I am also designing logos for all of the shows here at the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. And Mark, I swear to God, if you make one more Tom and Jerry joke, I'm going to revoke my offer of doing it for free.
So, quick thing. I shared with my wife your frustration with me that my logo ideas may have been a bit complicated, and she was like, "Well, read them to me. I want to know what you did." And so I read her all of the ones that I sent you, and she was like, "Do you not understand what a logo is? What you are describing are storyboards to a movie, not a logo."
Robert, David, this is what he wanted for Damn You Hollywood. I shit you not. He wanted the Hollywood sign on fire with a dude holding a video camera taping it with the words, "This is fine" above it.
No, that you've mishmashed a few of them now. It was the Hollywood sign on fire with a dude with his back to the camera holding a can of gasoline, lightly singing to himself, "Hooray for Hollywood."
Because that's so much better.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it perfectly describes this podcast.
Mark.
Yes, but it's not a logo.
It does, but that is by definition not a logo.
So I've been told. This is a logo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people playing the audio game, I just showed up a picture of the Empire insignia, and I said, "This is a tramp stamp, not a logo." And
No,
Okay, you see that?
That's
You
not
see-
a trap stamp.
Okay, you see Robert's shirt? That's a logo. That is a logo.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.
I love that shirt. I need that shirt. I've seen it advertised online. I just haven't bought it yet.
I
That's the
forget
logo.
if I got this from T Fury or Ripped, but one of those two.
Yeah, like I said, this is what I explained to Mark. Was like, imagine your logo, and you have to imagine how it's going to look on T-shirts, on posters, in black and white, zoomed in, zoomed out, large, small. It has to be versatile like that. The logo that you just held up that you called a tramp stamp, it does that. What you wanted me to make, not so much.
It is a cartoon.
You described a cartoon, Mark. That's like a one-panel cartoon. Like, it should be sandwiched between Bizarro and The Far Side.
I was going to say what I described was The Far Side.
It would totally be printed in the pages of the New Yorker. Look, if you wanted to change that to the background for your Facebook profile picture, that's what that is. That's not a logo.
Okay, I got it.
I think Alexis should just channel all her feelings regarding all the Tom and Jerry jokes Mark has made at her expense into a logo. Whatever she comes up with, it'll be...
The logo is a mock-up of me being beaten with a cat.
You wish.
Only if you're the cat.
How can I be both things? Finish your plugs.
All right, so yes, both of our stores are fully open, and we are going to be doing our next Tripped Up Trivia at the end of August. The theme the next month is toys. David, I'm going to take a wild guess from the stuff in your background. You might be interested in being a contestant again?
I could try. These are actually mostly models behind me. Which is a fancy way of saying
well, technically.
I was about to say, oh, you like comic books. Mom, these are graphic novels.
No, like that wasn't out of any idea to try and appear more sophisticated, but just as in lots of assembly required.
Lots of assembly, and they stay on the shelf.
Well, we're going to be doing questions about G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, things like that. Looking forward to it. Jesse Starcher is going to be hosting next month. I will be keeping score. After that, we are going to be doing sports, specifically football. I believe Jason Teasley is going to be hosting that, and I'm going to be feigning an illness, so I do not have to participate.
I think you should turn the tables on him and just show up drunk and derail the podcast. Maybe make a few dead relative jokes.
No, if she does that, she'll go into cardiac arrest and almost die. Just to complete the reversal.
So yeah, October, our trivia theme is horror, because of course it is. November, we just recently did a little bit of rewrites. It's now going to be Disney month. Looking forward to that. And this is going to be classic Disney. No Pixar, no Marvel, no Star Wars. And December, we're going to do classic Christmas trivia. We're going to be doing Christmas movies, Christmas songs, Christmas traditions, Christmas specials. Looking forward to that. If you're interested in being a contestant for any of those, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. You got Mark's handle there, pointing in the right direction now, over there.
And in the description if you're listening without video.
I am at Mark Radulich on Twitter, as I am on all the things. Robert!
Yeah.
Plug the things I did not plug.
Well, I'm not going to be part of the Space Jam review, I seem to recall.
Nope.
Not that smart in me.
Which is probably good. It saved an incident. That would not have gone well.
Lives have been saved.
Why do you have a gun in your hand? Oh, God!
Dude,
be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Dude, he can't shoot me through the computer screen. Oh, shit, he can.
Dude, around here, if I walked out of that movie with a smoking gun, everyone would have understood.
No, the next one that you're on is old.
I thought that was correct, yeah.
By M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Wait, are we doing a Damn You Hollywood? I thought we were doing that as a comic strip.
It is, but I'm on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a split 7-inch between the idea of comic strip and Damn You Hollywood. We're talking about the movie. We're talking about sandcastles. We're doing all the bits.
Come on. There's your good girl.
Oh, we finally get a cameo from your dog. I think I was getting tired of having mine jump behind me constantly.
Yeah, this is Abby.
Hi, Abby.
Oh, if the dog shows up, you have to introduce it.
Oh, now we got all dogs present.
Good girl.
My dog's not here.
Hi,
My dog knows better.
Okay, down you get. You're fine. Stop it. Let's see. My review for last night's AEW Dark Elevation has not been published yet, presumably because whoever is editing has not seen it and doesn't care. I don't care. I bill them for it anyway. Whether it gets published or not, if I take the time to do it, that's on the editing staff.
Was this the one with Ricky Shane Page?
No.
Or is that next week?
I assume. You might be confusing Dark with Dark Elevation, too.
Well, I thought I saw on Twitter that he was on Dark Elevation, but it doesn't matter. Go on.
Could be. He might be under a different name. I didn't see him, or he's on next week's. They tape these a little bit in advance. So eventually that will be up in theory. You can find my review for that. Wednesday, whatever MLW is releasing, I will have a report for. And Fridays, I cover WWE SmackDown. All of that in the Wrestling Zone of 411mania.com. So if you're interested, stop by, say hello. It's somewhat appreciated. Covering professional wrestling is killing me on the inside even faster, I've discovered.
Jesus Christ.
This last Saturday, I covered UFC 264, the big trilogy fight between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor that ended somewhat anticlimactically when Conor McGregor broke his shin in half at the end of the first round. Not a joke, that's exactly what happened.
I believe you.
So you can find my full report for that entire event in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com, and there are some wonderful puns in the comments section. What?
Ricky Shane Page. Dark.
There's too much glare, man. We can't read it.
I can't see that. Send it to me later.
It's all right. You know what? It just says dark. Never mind.
Which I don't cover.
Moving on.
That's fine. A lot of people show up on Dark Elevation. Some of them get different names. It's a fair question. I also host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast on Sundays. This last Sunday, we took a look back at UFC 264. You can get my extended thoughts on the fights. There were a lot of them. My preview for the upcoming event, wherein I try to sell you on Islam Makhachev taking on Thiago Moises. It's a great fight that no one will care about because most people don't care enough about fighting to look at stuff like that.
I'm sorry, how much of that was English?
None of it.
All of it. Islam Makhachev is from Dagestan, Russia. Thiago Moises is from Brazil. See, this is why I know how to pronounce a bunch of crap. There are fighters from everywhere, and I can give me a decent shot at a Polish last name. I can give you a rough approximation. It's not a joke.
No,
I can kind of do it.
I'm just picturing you taking a decent shot at a Polish.
Thanks for that.
You done?
So you can find that. This Saturday we'll be covering UFC on ESPN 26, the aforementioned Makhachev and Moises fight. And yeah, all the other stuff that Mark mentioned about our upcoming shows, please check us out. We always appreciate that. The list of Emmy nominations came out this earlier today, featuring, for the first time in quite some time, a lot of shows we actually talked about.
Yay!
We're prestigious.
God, I wish. So if you're interested in our thoughts on The Crown, that featured Mark Radulich and Andrew Graham.
And David.
Right?
Hello.
They all got to talk about how important it is to fold napkins a very specific way as was passed down by the royal family and not how the peasant girl does them.
As is the custom.
Yes. We also, Alexis and I got together and we talked about Lovecraft Countries, which got some nominations. You can listen to our review of that. There's a group panel discussion about The Mandalorian that does not feature me. You can all be very grateful. I probably would not have enjoyed it, but you can listen to the reviews of that. And what was the other one?
If you've enjoyed our send up of Black Widow, you'll love what we had to say about WandaVision.
We did have things to say about WandaVision, in point of fact. And The Boys got some nominations, and Mark and I got together to review that. So.
And Jesse.
Oh, yeah, Jesse was there. Jesse was there for The Boys. So feel free to give those a listen. You can find those wherever you find any of our podcasts.
Plus our panel discussion, our 8-hour panel discussion featuring a group of experts discussing chain of custody of weaponry given to you from the military.
Oh, yeah, for Don Cheadle's one episode cameo that somehow got him a nomination.
He's on screen for less than 2 minutes.
Even he doesn't get it. He tweeted like, okay,
I
thanks.
thought that was a joke. When I saw that on Twitter, like, Don Cheadle got I thought there's no.
Was Denzel Washington not eligible for an Emmy?
I don't know. Probably not. They would have nominated him if he was, I assume.
All right, folks. That's our review of Black Widow and all things therein. We'll see you next time. For Robert, Alexis, David, I'm Mark Radulich.
Wow. Wait. That is a terrible barbed wire tribal tattoo you have around your arm, sir.
Oh, with this one?
That is really bad.
I also have skulls.
Seen that? Ow!
No.
Damn it, Cleo.
Okay.
I had never seen I knew you had your wedding ring tattooed. I didn't know you had the most terrible 90s possible tattoo.
Oh no, you should see my calf. And on that
I'd
note,
really rather not. If it's anything like that. That's bad ink, man.
I have some like weird prison tattoos. And on that note, be well, be safe, and behave.